In Texas overall, the rural county of Terrell is no stranger to migrants coming over the border. Just last year, 7,400 undocumented migrants were arrested there. Joining us now to talk about what is happening at the border is the sheriff from Terrell County, Thaddeus Cleveland. Thank you so much for being here.
Howdy, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Well, Sheriff, you spent 26 years as a border agent. We know today Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said that migrant encounters are down right now. He stated that agents had about 6,300 encounters on Friday. Yesterday, they saw just 4,200, and then compare that with more than 10,000 shortly before Title 42 ended. So it's really trending downwards. Doesn't this mean that the crisis is moving in the right direction?
Well, I would definitely say the crisis is moving in the right direction, but we're far from this being done. As I've been saying for about 6 months now on interviews, it was time for Title 42 to go. Title 42 was meant for, the COVID time to protect our agents and our communities. It was time for us to get back to Title 8 and start having consequences for those illegal entering our country.
It seems like Title 8 is really being leaned upon right now. Do you think that is the solution?
Definitely. Title 8 is the authority we've always worked under as Border Patrol agents. As you mentioned, 26 years for myself, that's what we've always worked. That's our authorities. However, our Immigration and Nationality Act is old and antiquated. We need to update our immigration laws, but we have to keep that different from border security. After 9/11, the border changed, and we have to have border security and stop all threats from crossing our southwest border with Mexico.
Secretary Mayorkas is also warning that despite the falling numbers right now, there could still be a spike in crossings. What do you think will happen in the coming weeks and months ahead?
We saw that large spike, just like Jorge reported, the few weeks before the actual May 11th date. And I think we'll still see those high number of crossings. As long as this administration's in power, we will continue to see the next 2 years a lot of illegal alien crossings. We'll continue to experience a lot of deaths. We'll continue to see a lot of false asylum claims. I'll tell you, here in Texas, if it wasn't for our Governor Abbott, for having Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and Texas Military Forces on the border, our communities would still be seeing a lot of activity.
Sheriff, what is the biggest change, if any, you've seen so far in your county since Title 42 expired?
So we're a bit different than El Paso and Del Rio and Brownsville. So those areas and locations, they have ports of entry. Where I'm at, the 92 miles of border we have, the 54 here in the county, we don't have a port of entry. So people that cross here are trying to abscond. They're trying to enter our country illegally without being detected and without being apprehended. So we're still at that same level of activity. As you mentioned, last year was 7,400 apprehensions. We're the busiest station between Del Rio to El Paso. Yes, our numbers pale in comparison to those large groups that are looking to come across and claim asylum. But here we have those that are looking to get away and abscond into the United States.
Do you have the resources you need at this time?
We do not. And I tell you, so 92 miles of border, we're the third largest amount of border with Mexico here in the San Anderson Border Patrol Station. We only have about 50 agents patrol that piece of border. We've got 2 deputies here at the sheriff's office, one of those being myself. And then, we have 1 Texas Parks and Wildlife game warden. I'm sorry, we have 2 game wardens, and we have 1 Department of Public Safety trooper. So,
and help us understand help us understand how many would you need? How many border agents would you actually need for that size, would you say?
So if we wanted operational control of our border, we would need a couple hundred. So when you talk about 92 miles of border, and this is the roughest, toughest terrain. So, we have areas that they can't cross and they won't cross, but we have areas that are completely areas where they can cross undetected, where we don't even have technology. So we need more manpower, technology, as well as infrastructure to effectively patrol this piece of border.
Okay, we hear you and we appreciate your time. Sheriff Cleveland, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a good night.
You
Adios.
too. All right. Well, tomorrow night, Chris Cuomo is reporting live.